Hello, this is Edwin Dearborn, another edition of Growth Driven, and I'm with my good friend Jamie Rossi. Now, if you're a financial professional and you are seriously looking on how to grow your client base, well, you need to stay tuned. Hey everyone, I am with Jamie Rossi. Jamie, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely, Ed.
Yeah, now Jamie and I have become good friends over the years. And we did a video about a year ago in a coffee shop.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. Suction cup on the window, hit play, hit record, and we went live. And I want to revisit some of what we talked about then, because it's just ironic. That's kind of come full circle with what we were talking about then, because of what's occurred with COVID. I was talking about this program that I had. It was this great lead source for financial professionals, and we had just really refined this system down and got it to a point where it was working really well. So we were super pumped about it. Well, little did we know we were going to be able to leverage this system as soon as the COVID lockdown happened. And it gave us like a competitive advantage because we had a system we could use from anywhere, work to anywhere. We could, distribute that to within our advisory network and provide this lead source to anybody that was willing to learn that system. So COVID happened. And of course, that became a premium type lead source at this point in time, because when COVID happened in the financial services industries, it was really polarizing. You would have some people did very, very well over the last year, and then some people got out of the industry, and it actually ruined. It was a career stopper, a career ending. And the sole difference between the people that were very successful and the people that weren't successful and maybe still aren't doing so good is they didn't have a lead source and a way to close those leads. They were going back over. I can't tell you how many people I talked to that flipped over their existing book of business and went back over all the previous people that they had met with and all their current clients and tried to generate business from that. And that works, because you should do that. You should meet with your clients and you should re-engage with them to make sure that they're in the best possible position. You can only do that you only do that every 5 years. You can't do that every month or two. And right. So, it has come full circle. And we were just so prepared for COVID when it happened, because we hit the ground running. We already knew what people were going to be running into. We were already good at using video conferencing software and screen sharing and overcoming those remote objections that we were getting. So it's really panned out pretty well for us. We're still doing technically the same thing we were doing 2 or 3 years ago when we made that video. We just got a lot better at it, a lot more efficient, and we've got some extra tools to go along with it at this point as well.
Great. Well, we'll go over those tools, but I think to recap what you just went over, and thanks for all that information, that was very, very insightful, is that, see, what I find is the guys who survived the COVID lockdown were the guys that were already embracing technology and moving forward with technology and getting prepared. They didn't know COVID was going to happen, but they were embracing technology and figuring out how to leverage it to grow their business. And then when COVID hit, they just doubled down on it, but they already had the foundation being built to then spring forward and like you said, have the competitive advantage.
Total. Yeah. And it was funny the way that it occurred, because we really didn't plan for that. We didn't know
Right.
that was going to occur. So we just were taking the right steps at that time. And it really put everyone with this particular system in a good place.
Great. Okay, so guys, if you're on YouTube or you want to listen to we did about a 15-minute video a little over a year and a half ago, and Jamie describes that system. We're going to go over it again here. Kind of take me through, if you were to explain this. I always ask people, if you were to explain it to somebody in 9th grade with a 9th grade education in technology, maybe even 7th grade education in technology, kind of take me through the modules of the steps of what you're using. And I know you're using it to grow your own sales. This isn't some theory. you're actually not only using it for yourself, you're teaching advisors all across the United States, and they're growing their sales as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've got hundreds of advisors in this program. We've worked with thousands over the last couple of years. And what it is a program that connects you with a public employee or employees that have questions regarding their pension. So this isn't like a final expense returned mail postcard where they said, I might be interested in some final expense, and they put in their, their email and their phone number. This isn't an email grab where somebody's funneled into a sales funnel and it grabs their email automatically, fills out their email and promises them this free information, and then they click submit and then you get the information. This is actually a vetted appointment with a public employee. If you do the research on number of public employees, there are 20 million public employees in the United States. That represents about 15% of the workforce. 1/3 of those, all of the baby boomers, so about 8 million, 7 million people are retiring from the public employee system, whether it's state, federal, or local, in the next 10 years. By 2031, we're going to see another 8, 9 million people retire, in addition to the 40, 50 million additional baby boomers that are going to retire in the next 10 years. So with pre-COVID, this was already a very good market to be in when you're talking about money in motion, when you're talking about transferring of wealth. What this does is allow us to hone in and focus and be very good at one particular market, one particular clientele. You listen to all of the good, listen to Gary Vee, Grant Cardone. They talk about become the best in your space. You don't be the jack of all trade. You become an absolute expert at that particular space that you're in. And that's really what we've done. We have this appointment system that allows us to say we want 5 appointments a week with a public employee that has questions regarding retirement. And they show up and they ask the questions regarding retirement. Inevitably, there are going to be other questions and opportunities for you to educate them on things that they don't know about. Maybe it's a tax deferred versus a tax advantage type conversation. Maybe they need information regarding long-term care. Maybe they need information on protecting some of their assets because they're nearing retirement. The possibilities are really limitless once you get in front of that person. But in terms of financial services, it is the most diverse lead source. And again, it's not a lead, it's an appointment, but it's the most diverse lead source that I've ever worked with, because typically if you go out and buy leads somewhere, you're going to get final expense leads. You're going to get life insurance. Yeah. You're going to get annuity leads. They're really scattered across the board. With this particular system, you never know what you're going to run into. And because of that, the experienced agent that acts as a consultant that shows up to this appointment is very well prepared to help this person solve a problem. We're not showing up trying to sell product. We're not showing up trying to make a sale. We're taking a genuine concern with the individual. What are your concerns? What are you worried about in the future? How can I help you? And what questions do you have? And that's really the system, Ed. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I really want to call attention to something, what couple highlights here that Jamie talked about. And now, Jamie, you served in the Marine Corps, so I'm going to use some warfare analogy. I'm also the son of a Marine Corps sergeant, so I grew up with around military terms my whole life. See, I think most marketing is like carpet bombing. Mm-hmm. They just, spray and pray. Yep. And whatever leads I come in is just, whatever damage I get, and I just call them. Yeah. You're more like team recon going in with snipers, and you're going after very specific audiences, and you're actually setting an appointment. And I want to differentiate that. What Jamie's talking about here is not generating leads, and they're just carpet bombed leads. These are very specific people moving through a funnel, and you're getting an appointment set for you, an actual appointment for you to meet with somebody as a financial advisor, and not only an appointment, but an appointment with a very specific type of individual who more than likely has a bunch of money already sitting in an account, and you just need to advise them to move it in your direction.
Yep. Great. Yeah, and I'm going to show you that I actually use this system right now. I was looking down at my phone. this is the data that I have on an appointment. I don't know if you can see that. This is an appointment.
I can now, yeah.
It's an appointment booked to my calendar. I still use this lead source. So in addition to helping and training agents and providing this lead source for agents, by the way, this system generates, it has the potential to generate about 30,000 appointments on a weekly basis. We're nowhere near capacity. We're at about 10,000 appointments, 8 to 10,000 appointments. We can actually generate, and there is a need for 10,000 to 20,000 additional appointments on a weekly basis across the United States.
That's like crazy. That is crazy.
It's insane. And I was talking to Ed, like if you're in financial services right now, with the economic climate and the number of people retiring, both in the private sector and the public sector, if you're not licking your chops right now at the opportunity, you got to get in contact with somebody that is. You got to find out where is that opportunity, because it is potentially the best time in the history of ever to be involved with financial services. And this is one of the reasons why.
Yeah. So if you're a chop licker, you need to be calling Jamie like right now. I agree with you. I mean, I think, any financial advisor is already familiar with the greatest transfer in human history, greatest wealth transfer.
Yep.
We all cite it. The problem is that that generality doesn't develop into an exact strategy of how to convert that audience called baby boomers, and specifically you, public employees, into an actual sales or I should say appointment setting and sales funnel. Now, you not only set the appointments with this technology, which is itself an advantage, but you take it a step further and you've got a sales process, an exact modular sales process that you train people on so that they get a higher rate of close. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, 100%. And that was one of the things that we learned early on. We ran, 30, 40, 50 appointments, got really, really good at them, and then just assumed that it was going to be that easy for everyone. So
right.
Everyone in the industry obviously has got a different learning curve, a different knowledge base, a different experience. And so not all starting off at the same point. And we had some turnover early on with agents that were really excited about getting into this program because they weren't able to close the deals. So we identified that as a problem and spent the last year developing a full-blown training and support program. It's about 60 video modules that I've got on a learning platform. It's a full interactive course where you watch a video, you ask some questions, you have an assignment, you give some feedback. I have sample appointments in there. I've got sample closes in there. What we've done with this is actually shrink the amount of time that it takes for the advisor to be successful. In addition to the static training program that exists that you can go on and access 24/7 from your phone or from your computer, I have a twice a week support group that meets for an hour a day. This is something I started a couple of years ago for my guys, where they can go in and get their questions answered. What are they running into? I just had one before this call. What are they running into? How can I help close this deal? How can we help solve this person's problem so we can close the deal? To seal it off, that meets twice a week. We said, you know what? We don't want to leave anything to chance. We don't want to have one advisor somewhere going, if I just had the support I needed, I would have been able to succeed in that program. I created a Voxer group. Voxer is like a walkie-talkie type app where you can 24/7 just hit go, ask a question, and get a response from me or one of the other agents in the group. We're building that up and seeing a lot of success because of the speed of communication. You don't have to wait till the next weekly meeting to get an answer. Boom, you can get an answer 5 minutes before the appointment that you run into. So we go like the perfect storm now. We couple the appointment setting system, which puts you in front of people that want to talk, that have assets, with the training that you need in order to close those appointments. And then I've got a design team and a back office that gets me a good case design that solves this person's problem and leaves them in the best possible scenario available. So we've really spent those years refining. See, a lot of agents will have a really good IMO and a really good design team, but they don't have support on their lead source. Or they have a really good lead source, but they don't have a way to close it, or they're just pushing product. This is like the best of all worlds that we've really developed over the last few years. And it's really nice to sort of come full stride, full circle on this and see the success that the agents are having right now. It's super cool to see, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
That's amazing. I mean, having run sales teams before, you've really eliminated the critical problems, the stopgaps, if you will. Number one is I need more appointments.
Yep.
That's always, I have a good friend back in Los Angeles, and he told me something very astute many years ago. He goes, Edwin, I'm never worried about the appointment I'm in because I'm a pretty good closer.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm always worried about is who's my next appointment. He got to such a level of competence that his thing was, how do I create the next appointment? And when I'm in that appointment, when's my next appointment? Like if I just keep setting up the bowling pins, I'll knock a certain percent of it down. But then not only are you setting up the bowling pins, you're turning the guy into a better bowler. You're actually supporting him, real-time support, in addition to the video training modules. So you really have I don't know what the best word, but you have a complete program from start to finish, support, sales support, education, appointment setting. I mean, I don't know why somebody's not calling you right now. And by the way, can you put in the private chat, put your email or whatever contact information you're willing to make public? I will share that.
Yeah.
And then I'll read it aloud for those that are listening to this as a podcast. But if you're going to watch this later, and we know, Jamie, people will watch this video later, as we've had leads come from that first video we did. Still to this day, we get them.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, it's ever changing, evolving. I would call it 100% the most complete system from start to finish on anything that's available today that I know about. And I've worked lead systems before. I've got the email up in there. The last part of it is what we're working on right now. What we're working on right now is that how do you get people calling your phone without participating in a lead source, right? How do you get those organic emails, those organic texts, that overall branding, which what you're so good at, that awareness, the content, the omnipresence. And that really is what I'm really looking forward to in the next year to two on expanding out. So you really have your hunting and your gathering. You're doing both things, just like you said.
Yeah. Hey guys, if you're listening to this on a podcast, Jamie's contact information is jamie@retirementexpert.net. That's JAMIE @retirementexpert.net. And for those watching this on YouTube, there you can see it on the below in the video. So I agree. And this is something that we're doing, as a virtual chief marketing officer for the brands that I help and represent. You brought up a key term that I'm really stressing, which is omnipresence. Mm-hmm. Because the fact of the matter is, you want a sales funnel to get the immediate sales, like a hunter. I mean, people can live off of that all day long and make hundreds of thousands of dollars if they're a really good closer, just on and have a great life. But I was just somebody a couple of days ago who, well, what if I want to travel the world for a month and I'm not in those appointments? How do I continue to get leads? Or I want to go on a spiritual sabbatical, or I want to visit my family in Ireland. How do I continue to generate leads and continue to build my brand? And that's where you want to have multiple approach. You're on LinkedIn, you've got email database, you're doing videos like we're doing right now, podcasts. Mm-hmm. If you have a smattering of everything, then you don't have to just depend on one income source. Although your income source is tested and true and amazing, mm-hmm. Why not add to the mix?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that's where a lot of people stop, as they get to a point where they're comfortable. They're like, you know what, this is enough. I can make this work. I'm meeting with 5, 6, 7 people a week. I'm closing some deals. I'm making, wide range. Guys can make $100,000 to $1 million a year as a producer, as a financial advisor. They get to that level and they get comfortable and they say, you know what, this will work. What we're doing is we're saying, no. That's just enough, which just enough isn't enough. That's just not going to work. We want double that, 5 times that, 10 times that amount. We want the problem of we have more leads than we know what to do with. They're calling and saying, hey, Ed, we want to do business. Jamie, we want to do business. How do we get to that point? And that's really the next step. Once you've established your immediate income, how am I going to get paid next week, next month? Well, we want to work on just blowing that up, being, like you said, omnipresent, and having this excess of, that's a good problem to have. Hey, I got 100 calls today and I don't have anybody to return them,
Yeah. Well, I mean, you and I know there's a benefit to excess. Number one, I mean, who would have predicted COVID? You may have had a way like I do, these dinners, get the plate lickers there, and then all of a sudden that shut down.
Yep.
And now you didn't have option B. Whereas if you have omnipresence, you have multiple sources. If one breaks down, then you've got another one. Number two, maybe you want to start building your own team. And now you can start to share the leads with your team or your best friend or whoever, and have them ready. You can also take those leads and upsell them for additional services that you may not offer, and be a gateway to another brand that you're partnering with.
Yeah, I mean, there's the possibility is limitless. You're going to be able to scale a lot better with that. I totally agree. Create the partnerships. Let the expert do. Don't try to do everything. Don't try to be the CPA, to be the tax person, to be the debt consolidator. Just develop those really good relationships to where you have an excess of leads and you're not scraping the bottom of the barrel trying to find the best prospect. It's just funny because when you flip your thinking, you really, and once you get to where you're paying your bills or you're making the minimum that you want to make, you should be going the extra mile to create that abundance. I can't tell you how many people that we work with now that were in that seminar business and they still aren't back up and running yet. They've totally shifted over to this virtual system because that dried up. Most places you can't do seminars anymore.
Yeah, and we don't know when you're going to get back up to seminars. And let's say even though we get back up to the point of doing seminars, will the audience want to go to seminars?
Right.
That's they may have been so conditioned to go, well, why would I go to a seminar? I finally learned Zoom.
Yeah.
I finally learned StreamYard. Why would I even go to and do a live event? I think live events will come back, but I think there's going to be a mixture of virtual and personal. I think we're going to see a hybrid come about over the next 5 years.
Yep, I totally agree, and that's why it really doesn't hurt to be 100% prepared, adapted to the technology, and have something in your back pocket. We've got people all over the board, from people that have no leads right now at all to people that just have a few extra hours a week and want to fill in their white space, and everywhere in between. So it's not really an all or nothing with this type of program. It's good to have multiple lead sources and multiple income streams from that in the event that something like that does happen. So that's where I think what you do so well, Ed, comes in handy is generating all that content and having that presence and the brand awareness, because that's the long game. That's the brand building. That's the long game. That's what's important. That's what's going to establish you as an authority. If somebody meets with Ed and they go and Google his name, the first 5 pages of Google are Ed's Twitter and his YouTube and his podcast and stuff like that. That's the presence that the advisor wants to have. And that's what we're going to be working on, with you, Ed, in the next few months here.
Yeah, I'm excited about it because I think that, there's certain industries that I get into when I help them. They're very antiquated in their marketing methodologies. They're very slow to adapt to technology. Yep. Like chiropractors are very rapid in their adaptation to technology. Like they love technology.
Yep.
You'll find certain industries like business coaches. They love technology. They adapt fairly rapidly. The people that are slower, like bookkeepers, CPAs, and financial advisors, it seems like there's this very stuffy, anything around money and banking and the transfer of wealth, it seems to be very locked into these old ways.
Yeah. I mean, I was on a call the other day with a guy, and he still is of the belief and the thought. He's like, well, I'm just holding out to when we go back to in person. And I was like, look, man, I don't see a scenario where first of the year you're walking into somebody's office and shaking their hand on a regular basis. It's not happening. Probably not going to happen till the end even of next year. So what are you going to do between now and then? Even if we knew in a year we're going back to everything in person, that's a lot of time that you have to learn a new skill set, to adapt, and you've got it in your back pocket in case that doesn't happen. Because if I had to make a prediction, like you said, it's going to be a hybrid from here on out with a strong emphasis on virtual for financial services, for insurance, for the webinars. We're doing, digital video webinars now as well to take the place of those dinner seminars where we were meeting in person. So that's, I think, can stick people in not making a decision to move forward in their career. And I do run into that. You're right, in financial services and insurance agents and stuff like that, where they're just holding out because they were so good at it. It's hard to let, you spend 30 years in the industry, you get really good at something. You don't want to change, it's a little bit invalidating. Like, I get it. Looking forward, it might not be the best move, to hold out on when you're walking back into somebody's office. So.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say the guy watches this video or gets a presentation, a financial advisor. He goes, this sounds exciting. I would love to have an abundance of leads. I want to build my brand, set appointments specifically, teach me how to close like you, Jamie. Kind of what price range? I know this is going to be the number one question. Great. It sounds great. How much does this cost?
Yeah.
What does a financial commitment look like in terms of per month or per lead, and how long is the commitment?
Yeah. Okay. So that's a great question. I'll cover the cost. The cost per appointment, and I want to stress that these are appointments. This is somebody that books an appointment. I showed you one for tomorrow or the next day from my phone, where they're showing up to the link that you provide to talk.
Yeah, you're meeting an actual person who's a qualified prospect.
Who's a qualified prospect.
Right.
$69 a pop, no commitment whatsoever. So you get enrolled in the system, and you can run as many or as few as you want. The training program that goes along with that is $99 a month. If you need the ongoing service, you can get through it in about 2 to 4 weeks, depending. There's no obligation to keep either one of it. So I always tell people that, obviously you're going to have some time invested. I never want somebody to come into the program and go ahead and shoot me an email. I think my email was up there on the screen. If you're interested, we want to make sure that it's a good fit for you as well as a good fit for us, because you have to have the mindset of, hey, I'm going to figure this out. We don't want people coming in saying, I'm going to try it out and see what it's all about. We want somebody to say, hey, this sounds like it's going to work. I'm going to make a commitment to making it work no matter what it takes. And when you have that mindset going into the program, our success rate just shoots through the roof. We were providing this training program for free. And you know what I found? People were not giving me any effort back because they were getting the training program for free. Yeah, so that's it. It's $69 per appointment. Most people run 6 to 8 of them on a weekly basis once they get good. We see a 500 to 1,200% ROI on this program. So for every $100 you spend, you're making anywhere between $500 and $5,000, to be honest. I mean, it's very, very good ROI on those.
It's better than flipping real estate, man.
It is. It's very, very good ROI once you get good, and the training program is really what helps with that. If you've got an awesome back office and support team and you have a really good way to close deals, you just can't get in front of people, you need to shoot me an email and we can talk and see if that's a good fit.
That's awesome. So, hey, appointments, it's affordable, it's scalable at a level that you can't afford. Affordable training, which is available, modular training on video. I just don't see why somebody could watch. I mean, the only way that I would, and I think you brought it up earlier, the mindset, the willingness to change and learn.
Yeah.
That's really, I think you've gotten the system to the point where the only real barrier is the willingness or unwillingness to learn and to commit.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's what happens when they say, I'm going to try it out. You know what, Jamie, I'm going to try 10 appointments and see how it goes. Inevitably, it's just like any lead system or anything in life, you're going to run into problems. if you don't have the commitment to succeed, you're going to go, this just sucks. They didn't want to talk to me, and just not take any responsibility for what occurs.
Yes.
If you have the mindset that, hey, I'm going to run into problems, but I'm going to power through it and figure it out and get the support because the support's there, then it's cake. You just have to have the commitment and desire to do it.
Amen. Let me ask you something. Do you have any training modules at the beginning about the mindset, that exact point?
That's funny. Orientation, training module number 2, mindset, where I go over 3 to 5 minutes on, look, you got to make a commitment, man. You got
right. Yeah, I think that's really important, because if you I see that all the time in business, where if you don't have, and I like, one of my favorite words is grit. If you don't have the grit to go through the losses and the learning curve that's inevitable with any system, you're going to find fault with the system versus reiterate your skills and abilities.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly what we found. And great minds think alike, Ed. That's why it's the second module on there. You can't even, if that's a prerequisite, you can't even get to the rest of the program until you watch that video. What I did was, if you want to share that link too, I put a link on there for anyone that wants to check out. This is just a link to the training program.
Let me grab that and I'll share that.
Yeah, you can go on there and register. I got some free preview lessons on there. I've got 2 or 3 preview lessons that will help you if you're an advisor, even if you don't use this lead source. I talk about coronavirus related distribution on one. I got a couple other modules in there that'll benefit you as an advisor, no matter what you're doing right now. So you can sign up, check those out. If you do want to come on board with this lead system, we can talk, and that'll put us in touch, and you'll be able to follow up with me that way.
Yeah. Okay. So guys, if you're watching this on YouTube in the future, you can see the link below. It's perau.thinkific.com. Let me spell that: perau.thinkific.com, thinkific.com. So now I'm also going to put the link, when I go back to YouTube and optimize the video and add the thumbnail, I'm going to add Jamie's email and this link, so that if you're watching it later on, you can just scroll down on the bottom of the video and I'll have a link there for you guys to check it out. And then we'll also add it to the podcast within the transcript, and we'll also add it to the blog post. So if you happen to catch this as a blog post at our website, we'll have that link there as well. Hey, Jamie, we could go on and on and on, and I know you could go, the devil's in the details, and you could give us a lot of details. What do you think, other than what you've shared with us, as kind of your parting words here? Give me an example, a success story of someone who came in maybe slightly skeptical. I'm sure most financial advisors do. And how they kind of went through the reiteration and the learning curve, joined the program. Can you give me a specific success story of a guy and what's happening with the sales? Yeah,
that's a great question. I actually have a couple of those. I'll give you one guy who has been in the industry for a couple of years, had his lead source dried up, had just come over to us right after we launched this program. We've got over 80 users on this program in just the first 3 weeks, which is amazing. We've had nothing but good feedback. This guy comes on the program. He does all the training modules. He follows everything step by step, like the recipe for success. And this guy, in his first 5 appointments, he books 4 out of 5 follow-up appointments and ends up closing 1 of his first out of 5 deals. To quantify that, we were telling guys a year ago to run 10 appointments before you even think about booking a second, and to run 20 before you even think about closing one. So what we did is we took this guy brand new to this lead source, and within 5 appointments, within 2 weeks, he's closing business. And he thought, he had no idea. The real win for us in this program was he had no idea the struggle that he would have went through a year or 2 ago in this program. It was just business as usual for him. He goes, I did the steps. I got 4 out of 5 appointments. scheduled. I closed one of them. You know, thanks, man. The program worked. That's exactly what we wanted it to do, right? We wanted it to be seamless from start to finish. You know, and we've had people on this system for a year that have been running this lead source and then went back and went through all the training we created, and they go, where was this a year ago? This is going to help me tremendously. So a number of different success stories there. That's the one that stands out in my head when we identified that this guy achieved the result that we set out to get with this program. We were high-fiving, and it was real good first win for us there.
That's awesome. Okay, so now on the screen, I have Jamie's email in big letters here, jamie@retirementexpert.net. And I have the link below, which you can go and check out his system. Hey, Jamie, as always, so glad that we had you on board here with our show. I think in the future, maybe about, maybe every 4 months or 6 months or something like that, we'll have you back on. I'm sure you're going to have new iterations to it or tweaks, more success stories, more insights. Guys, if you're a financial advisor, I can tell you right now, having known Jamie for a number of years, this guy is crushing it in sales. He's crushing it. Moreover, the people that he's training are elevating their sales. They're actually increasing their sales numbers. They're making more money. If you're at a point of just doubting yourself, contact Jamie, let him help you, coach you through that, but get connected with this program. There's much more market out there than's being serviced, and he can connect you with that market. Hey, Jamie, I just want to thank you so much for being on the show. Any last words before we go?
Absolutely. No, I mean, I would just say, for the guys that are on the fence, like if you're in financial services and you're struggling and you don't know when your next appointment is, you got to do something, right? Mm-hmm. Even if it's like, I'm going to go work at the Amazon warehouse. Okay. You got to do something. Make the move that you think is going to work. If you're making 150K a year and you're going, how can I get to 250? Do something about it. And this is an option that you have that's very viable to make that sort of change or increase in your business. So if the guys that are watching, that are on the fence saying, hey, maybe I should check this out. The number one thing that I get when I talk to an advisor about it is, oh, it seems too good to be true. It's not too good to be true. You got to put in the work. You got to get kicked in the face a couple of times. But you have the backbone and the resources to get you through it. And that's the difference between, what we do now and everything else that's out there.
It's awesome. Hey, Jamie, thanks once again. Guys, this has been another edition of Growth Driven. We're bringing you the experts to help you increase your sales, make more money, flourish despite hell or high water. Thanks for joining. We'll see you soon again.